Indeterminate plants need pruning since they grow here and there, and it could sometimes really get complicated when taking care of these plants. Pruning is essential so that we can redirect some of the plant's growth. We must remove unwanted branches and improve the plant's structure so it can have healthy growth. Pruning tomatoes will maximize the efficiency of photosynthesis and minimize the risk of disease. Tomatoes are rich in sugar, and when its leaves are growing, it starts to grow with one leaf to a stem to a branch. This branch would generate more sugar, signaling more growth of other leaves and branches. This happens often, and the reason that we prune our tomato plants is for the sugar to be diverted into developing the fruits instead of the leaves and branches. Welcome to your YouTube channel, ITTV. Remember, you are the original of yourself. There is no duplicate of you anywhere in the world. If we cut all of the other branches that are in the way and using one single stem tip instead, all of the development is focused on the fruits instead of creating and growing other leaves and branches, thus giving us larger and better fruit production. Basically, if you have more stems, it will usually mean lesser fruits. Pruning greatly affects our plant's health. The unnecessary leaves and stems that grow out may attract bugs, bacterial, and fungal pathogens. Thus, pruning our plants will prevent all of those. The best time to prune tomato plants is in the early morning on a dry day. This is to give time for the plant's wounds to heal. There are different types or methods of pruning. There is thinning, which removes limbs all the way back to their branch origin. Another one is cleaning, which is like fine-tuning a tree. Simple cuts to clear out the excess, dead, and diseased branches. Reduction, which is cutting its branch to shorten its height or width. And structural, which involves one or two of the methods I mentioned to improve the plant's structure and health. Make sure that when you do this, you use a sharp knife or clean pair of pruning shears to ensure that you don't make unnecessary cuts and unnecessary wounds to your plant. Before you make any cuts and reduction, make sure you know what variety of tomato you have as a plant in your garden, since indeterminate tomato plants are the ones that need pruning, while on the other hand, determinate tomato plants do not need pruning. Make sure to check your plant if there are any leaves and stems that are turning yellow. Start pruning from there. Check for suckers. Suckers are the tiny new branches sprouting in the spot where a branch meets the stem. Suckers that are left to grow will take energy from the rest of the plant, thus not making great fruit yields. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but a wise choice would remove all of those suckers, making your plant bear large fruits and yielding better. When you're about to start pruning your tomato plants, you should start when they are already about 1 to 2 feet tall. Pruning any smaller than that may shock your plants, and they may not be able to recover from that, making the growth of your plants impossible. Make sure that you remove all the suckers and leaves below the first flower cluster. This ensures that the plant is strong as it grows on one centralized stem, instead of wasting the majority of its nutrients growing on unwanted tips, leaves, and stems. Make sure that you use watering methods to water the tomato plants at the soil level rather than from the top. This will ensure that the prevention of splashes of the soil onto the tomato plants and its wounds, minimizing the risk of diseases. When removing a sucker, grab the growing tip at the base between your thumb and your index finger, bending it back and forth until it snaps cleanly. Ideally, this should be done when the shoot is young and supple. This will patch and heal quickly. As for the stems and leaves, depending on where you are located, usually when you are living in a warmer climate, you should leave its stems and leaves until they turn yellow. On the other hand, if you live in a more humid environment, remove everything below the first flower cluster to improve ventilation. Humidity may encourage diseases and sickness, making the plants vulnerable and unhealthy. By improving ventilation, you are helping the plant and protecting it from possible diseases it may encounter. When you encounter thicker roots, perhaps thicker than the width of a pencil, use the pruning method called Missouri pruning. This is done by pinching off the growing tip, leaving the two lowest leaves. This improves airflow and ventilation and cuts down on the chance of disease and sickness of the plant. A tip would be removing the leaves along the bottom 12 inches of the stems of indeterminate tomato plants. This technique is usually advised for larger suckers and/or thicker stems. When pruning and leading your plant with your main center stem, make sure that this is supported and tied on a long stick that can line your plant. This will serve as the backbone of your tomato plant so that you can also ensure that the vine won't grow along the ground, as this won't produce healthy tomatoes. Removing yellow leaves is an essential part of pruning, as these leaves take up more sugar than they produce. As a plant begins to mature, the lower leaves will start to yellow and wilt. Thus, pruning will surely help your plant maintain its freshness and keeping it away from sickness and diseases. Getting better fruit yield on its last growth of the season would be possible by a method called top. This method is done a month before its expected frost. When the plant reaches its growth on the top of the cage or the roof of your greenhouse, make sure you remove the plant's terminal shoot. This is to ensure that the majority of the nutrients are focused solely on the yielding of fruits. There you go, guys! I hope this video has given you insights and tips on pruning your tomato plants. Please give this a thumbs up if this video has helped you. Let me know in the comment section how your tomato farm is thriving, and if you have any video suggestions about gardening. Remember, I will be here every day of the week to give you more insights into home gardening and staying healthy with these vegetables. Subscribe to this channel, ITTV, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you will be the first to know when I upload another interesting and informative video for you. Also, click the like button and give a thumbs up. And don't you ever forget, you are the original of yourself. There is no duplicate of you anywhere in the world.